make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Roar. Roar.
Colonel Ironsides here. 200 years I stood in the gap, fighting those who would harm my country. It was my honor, my sacred duty, so help me God. 9 times they took my life. 9 times I stood back up and made them pay. The freedom fighter and I could handle anything, but someone betrayed me. I was ambushed, made mortal, rendered powerless, and retired. They passed an amendment and made me a civilian before I left the hospital. For 50 years I watched my country change. Watched this work while erasing me from history. The day I quit my job, I powered up and discovered they lied about that too. I'll remind them of freedom. I'll remind them of duty. I'll remind them of their oaths and who they serve. I'll remind them, well, and shove it down their throats.
Hello, everybody. I decided to start with that today. That or I forgot to start my opening crawl. I ran a little bit late, as usual, these days. Anyway, so yeah, that was Hanson, taken from a few years ago. You remember them as the little moppets from Oklahoma, the little blonde-haired munchkins. Who the little teeny boppers were screaming about. They hit #1 on like 15 different countries, I think. That hit was mega huge at one point. One of the catchiest songs you will ever hear. I mean, it will literally stick in your head. But there are worse things to get stuck in your head, like Baby Shark or something like that. Dear Lord, that thing was made by Satan. Anyway, so why is Bunny thinking about Hanson? Okay. Something kind of unique with them that I'll share just a little bit. But a little bit of history. About 1997, they seemed to come out of nowhere. Grunge was kind of winding down. Grunge, most people don't realize, but Grunge only had about a 4-year window from about 91, 92-ish up to about 94, 95. and then Kurt Cobain, you know, and you know, it people got kind of tired of it pretty quick because it was all dour. They were all navel gazing, you know. Everything was so serious, you know. Oh, we're so aggrieved, you know. The world sucks so bad, you know, and everything was just like negativity. Everything was just like so self-serious and self-involved. You know, you know, we had the hair metal, and hair metal was just like fluff, you know. It was well written and well played fluff, but for the most part, you know, it's pretty ephemeral, and so everybody's kind of getting it's kind of getting oversaturated, and then suddenly, you know, Nirvana comes out with "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and it's just like everybody's like, "Oh man, you know, where did that come from?" Because it detuned guitar, just gritty. It was raw. It wasn't produced within an inch of its life, you know. Like Mutt Lange kind of production, which had kind of taken over the 80s. Everybody was either, you know, what Mutt Lange wasn't producing, everybody was trying to sound like Mutt Lange, you know, after I think probably Def Leppard's Hysteria was, you know, that had so many hits that everybody was trying to imitate that, you know, that, and AC/DC's Back in Black, also Mutt Lange. And so everybody's trying to sound like Mutt Lange, and what that was overproduced. It was you know, it was like pretty much done to within an inch of its life until it was like perfect. So everything was perfect to the note. And so when Nirvana comes in, you know, they just, with that Butch Vig production, and it was just so raw, and it was just like you know, the voice was cracking, the bass and the drums, you know, weren't always entirely in sync, and it was just like something unique. It was kind of like when punk rock hit. It's very much like punk rock. And suddenly all these flannel navel gazers, coffee drinkers from Seattle were the biggest thing. But that got old. And because people want to have fun with their music, they want to be entertained by their music. And hearing Alice in Chains sing about sitting on an angry chair, and Rooster, which is an awesome song. I love Rooster, but that's a heavy song. Everything was very heavy. And we won't even get to Eddie Vedder's pretentious ass, and how, you know, Jeremy, yeah, let's sing a song about a kid shooting himself in front of his classmates. Hey, party! Woo! Party! Yeah. Anyway, I digress. But around this time, you know, the boy bands started coming in. The fat guy from Florida turned out later to be entirely different, basically a con artist. What was his name? I can't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. But he took the New Kids on the Block kind of template from a few years before, and made something called Backstreet Boys, and just grabbed a bunch of Disney kids and who were working in the parks, and brought them in, made fabricated a group, and you know, and suddenly they were like the talk of the town and the toast of the town. Then you had Britney Spears' little schoolgirl butt, you know, flouncing around. Around that time, I guess you had Christina Aguilera popped up. You know, it was, which is pretty much like Tiffany and what's her name from the mid '80s. You know, it's kind of like using that formula, but essentially everything went ephemeral. Everything kind of went error. You know, error-headed light. But in the middle of that was these three boys from Oklahoma who legitimately played their instruments, wrote their own songs, and had tight harmonies. I mean, tight harmonies. And they had something else going on. They basically had learned their musical chops from listening to 50s 50s albums, you know. And so they had a little bit of doo-wop. You know, when they were little, they were even smaller. They were singing at the Oklahoma State Fair. There's videos of them singing, and it's just these three little boys just absolutely killing Rockin' Robin, you know, Jackson 5 style, and doing a good job. But they basically, you know, they decided that they wanted to put some make a recording. So their mom like bought them an hour of recording time at a studio, and they could barely play their instruments at that point, and they went in and started recording music, and I didn't know what they were doing. And you know, they got accepted on. They went to a music festival. I think it might have been Burning Man. One of the music festivals. I can't remember which one, but they just went there. Just had no connections, had no idea what they're going to do, and they ran into a lawyer there who decided to represent them because he just thought they were so good because they did some busking while they were there. And he heard them, and he's like, "Wow, these guys are good." And they're young, and they're easily susceptible, I guess. Anyway, but he got them a showcase, and they killed the showcase, and suddenly they had a record deal. And they told a story about how they went to a opening of a mall, and they had no idea, because they're kind of in this bubble, but they had no idea how big they were getting. And they go to this mall opening, and they do like a few songs, and suddenly a security guard who's white as a sheet comes up and says, "You guys need to go." And they're like, "Why?" And he's like, we just have enough for a few hundred people. Thousands showed up. Thousands, and we don't think we can protect you anymore." And sure enough, all those little screaming teenage girls tried to grab them on the way out the door, and you know, they said that their son, the youngest, barely made it out the door. Yeah, he grabbed him, and he's like, "Leave me, save yourselves," you know. It's a great story, but they had no idea how big they were getting. And then next thing you know, they're being they go to Times Square, and the UMTV studios, you know, that glass in studio, and they did a performance there, and it was like around the block, all teenage girls, and they were screaming loud enough to be heard over New York traffic. And they basically had a Beatles moment where they were like the biggest band in the world. These three little kids were the biggest band in the world. The oldest one, I believe Isaac, was about 14. And they just were massive. And well, the first album was huge. The second album was pretty decent. And the third album was still very strong. But they chose not to sign. And that's where things took an interesting turn. So they chose not to sign that next album contract. They gave them the 3 albums that they were contracted to give them. And they still had decent numbers out in the world. Still had about 1 million record sales. You know, the biggest bands in the world would beg for 1 million record sales right now. But that back then, you know, it was considered, okay, you guys are kind of falling in the middle of the pack. Maybe you're losing a little mojo. And so they came at them with a lower offer. And the parents and the brothers decided, let's bet on ourselves. And while we still have some momentum, let's do our own thing. And so went back when nobody was doing independent. I mean, very rarely did anybody go independent that had any kind of success. And they went just less than 3 years or 4 years from being the biggest band in the world. And they decided to go independent. Then suddenly they weren't cool anymore. Suddenly the narrative changed, and people start calling them a boy band. You know, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were kind of fading a little bit. People were kind of, you know, the generation that was like screaming their names kind of was growing up some. And so that suddenly they start, Hanson gets labeled as a boy band, which they were not. Okay. I mean, think of the qualifications of a boy band. Okay. Prepackaged, prearranged. It's nothing organic about them. They just, they get basically chosen out of a lineup and shoved together. They are like controlled at the top. They don't play their own instruments, and basically they're a package. They are a product. Now, think of Hanson. Okay, they're brothers. You know, they grew up together. You know, they're from the same womb. You know, so they weren't picked out of a lineup. They weren't prepackaged. Okay. Second, they were legitimately talented. Third, they were writing their own songs. Even as a kid, they were writing their own songs. And you know, the boy bands did not write their own songs. They had like songwriters that did all their songs for them. And I think NSYNC started writing their own songs towards the end. But that was more Justin Timberlake, I think, than anybody. But anyway, so, and fourthly, they were not a product. They were a legitimate band. And, you know, they had, all their albums were like well thought out. You know, they had they were thematic, and they were trying to like grow as a band. And so they didn't fit the boy band mold at all, especially being controlled by like a product instead of individuals, because they walked away from mainstream backing. Then suddenly, after they walk away from mainstream backing, suddenly everybody's calling them a boy band. Everybody's looping them in with those other guys, and it's not cool to call them. It's not cool to call them cool anymore. You know, it's not. You can't even say that you're a casual fan, or you'd be looked at like, oh, you're bubblegum pop. Oh, you know, yeah, you're immature in some way, you know, or you're whatever. And interestingly enough, they had a hit that charted, their first independent album. It didn't get much radio play because they didn't have the massive record companies behind them pushing it, but it did have a video on MTV that did very well, and that was enough to get them a pretty decent chart placement. Oddly enough, they made more money off of that song than they did the previous 3 albums. You want to tell me that being independent is not a good idea? I mean, seriously. This was the song.
In the summertime, under the sky by the light, I can feel you in my mind. I can see it in your eyes. Under the moon as it plays like music every line. There's a road with a bleeding eye under the fan in the room where the passion is burning high by always playing me tonight. Saying, oh, oh, yeah. In the plane, stupid with my feet, riding the seat number 3. On a flight to NYC, got my bean in the coffee cup next to my seat. Catch the view and another good book to read. Sitting at home, in the skies, missing her eyes. It's always playing me tonight. 'Cause playing me like to roll the windows down to the real world, push the bed out to the ground. And playing me like to kiss the starry skies. Close our eyes, pretend to fly. It's always playing me tonight.
That's an earworm. I apologize of anybody that gets that stuck in their head. That is an earworm, man. You want to tell me? What's up, Wookie? Good to see you, dude. The thing about it is you want to tell me that's not a hit, that shouldn't have been a #1 hit. I mean, that is just as good as anything that was on the radio at that time. I mean, it's just as good. If you want to come on, Wookie, I'll send you a link, man. Just let me know. But the thing about it was they did a no. Okay, they chose to leave the record business. You do not leave the record business. You know, they let you in. You know, they promoted you. They pretty much made you who you are. So how dare you leave, right? You know, they'll like cancel you over in a heartbeat if you don't make the record sales, and they'll leave you high and dry. But you don't leave them; they leave you. Okay, and so at their height, you know, not at their heights, but they weren't that far from being the biggest band in the world. They walked away, and suddenly, poof, they weren't being promoted anywhere anymore. And yet they're still making quality music, and they're still doing great, and they're still selling out venues. Okay. Now, and so I you know, I've talked to people, you know, they've asked me, you know, of my favorite groups, and I've always mentioned Hanson, and they're like, Hanson, you know, and it's like, why not? Why not Hanson? Why can't I like Hanson? You know, and they can't tell you why. They're like, have you heard anything? That MMMBop song. I was like, you know every word to that damn song. You know you sing it, you know, when you're by yourself. You know you do, because everybody, that song gets everybody. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. You could be a metal guy, and yet when you hear this song, okay, you can say that, you can say that, that you don't bop every time that thing comes on. You could say that, but you'd be lying. I know you'd be lying, because that is one of the most infectious choruses that ever has existed. Hanson rocks. There you go, dude. Good stuff. My brother. Hey, man. Good seeing you. Good stuff. Oh, hey. Hey, what's up, John? Good to see you, dude. But, so the question remains, all right. Now you look at them, they're still good looking. I mean, they're really good looking kids. I mean, they were good looking little kids, and they grew up to be really handsome men. And they're all married. They all have kids of their own. They're all successful independently. I mean, because when they put out an album, maybe it doesn't get sold everywhere, but they get 100% of what comes out. And so their profit margins are like this. And so they only have to sell that to equal what Taylor Swift has to do with that. Okay? And when you take that out, they're not gay. They're all married men. Come on now. Anyway, but the thing about it is they're the reason why they're so wholesome, the reason why they get called corny, when somebody's wholesome, or when somebody's like goody two shoes or whatever. It's like, well, we want our rock stars to have the edge to them, We want our rock stars to like burn out and die at 27, be part of the 27 club, We want them to eat a shotgun, maybe or maybe not, over a weekend in Seattle. That's what we want from our rock stars. We want them to be like smack addicts that drive Volvos up to our drug dealers, because, we don't want to die in a car accident, but we're okay with some smack dealer shooting us up. Kurt Cobain, okay? It's like they want the edge, it's not cool if they don't have edge. But the bottom line is, they make great pop songs, but they also have like soul to it. It's got jazz to it. It's got, it's got everything you want, okay? And they're freaking talented. All right. You want to see how talented they are? Okay. Let me play this.
Thank you so much. Tonight's pretty cool. We played this concert now all over North America, all over Europe, and here across this beautiful country. And 2 nights in this show was pretty special, guys. So we have made a pretty consistent policy on this tour that we don't do encores, because we can't just throw an encore. We're going to play you guys or sing you a song that requires no sheet music, or for that matter, no instruments. We're also going to try and attempt to honor the design of this room and one of the greatest exports Australia has ever produced, which is a great group of Bee Gees. We're 3 brothers, the original 3 brothers. And we're going to ask something special of you guys, which we know you can do because this show tests that. We're going to ask you guys all to join us. Feel free to turn your cameras on. But turn your cameras on silent. Because we're going to do this without any microphones. Absolute silence. So no yelling out. Not even.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
We love it.
Nobody gets too much heaven no more. It's much harder to come by. I'm waiting in line. Nobody gets too much love anymore. It's as high as a mountain and harder to climb. Oh, you and me, girl, we got a lot of love in store. And it flows through you, and it flows through me, and I love you so much more than my life. I can see beyond forever. Everything we are will never die. Loving such a beautiful thing. Oh, you make my world a summer day.
I don't think I'll get copyright struck, but I don't want to risk it. But that's a cappella, no amplification whatsoever. It's the Sydney Opera House, which has the best acoustics in the world. It's been proven. That, and I think the Mormon Tabernacle have it's like neck and neck or whatever. But that's them singing the Bee Gees with. They didn't even one of them got the chords on the piano and then he walked over and he kind of hummed it. And then they went in. If you watch the rest of the clip, which I highly recommend you do, they do 2 key changes, perfectly in tune. And I checked their pitch and their own pitch all 3 times. That is massively impressive. Anyway, hold on a second. Yeah, they are still putting out albums right now. They're still getting My Bad Eyesight Bunny. Your Under Things says CBD. Okay. All right. Acapella. Yeah, there you go. All right. Anyway, or however you spell it. Yeah, I'm not going to try to spell it. I'll probably screw it up. Anyway, now. I think it's just really, for me, it's just asking an interesting question. Okay. Before they went independent, they had the backing of the mainstream. They were played on the radio. They were pushed as being cool. They were the hip thing. You know, they had like posters everywhere. You know, then suddenly they go independent. They walk away from a record contract, which they could have had. You know, that the mainstream did not like walk away from them. They did not kick them out. They walked away, chose to go independent, and suddenly you can't bring them up without it being a punchline. I mean, I remember comedians were making fun of them, and it was like everywhere. That somehow they were like unhip or whatever. And I keep remember people were talking about, oh, I hate boy bands. And then somebody's like, but not Hanson. Hanson's not they kind of got roped in. That's not fair. And I guarantee you that NSYNC or Backstreet Boys couldn't have done that song a cappella without amplification. I guarantee that. And yet, you know, they were doing a cappella songs when they were kids, you know, when they're little kids. And they're still together today. They still do. I mean, they're still tight as a drum. Every single concert that I've watched online, they have just been absolutely nailing it. I mean, let me... And so to show you how talented they are. Okay, because you're like, okay, well, Zach's always going to be on the drums, you know, and the other brother's going to be on the keyboards. Isaac's going to be on the, you know, Taylor's going to be on the keyboard, and Isaac's always going to be on the guitar. But what's this? Yeah, there we go. Well, that's the drummer playing piano and singing, and that's Taylor, the pianist, usual lead singer, doing backup vocals and drumming at the same time. And so, and there's no drop off. I mean, tell me a boy band that can do that. Okay. And so, hold on a second. Lay off the drugs, brother. See? I knew I was going to get this. I knew I was going to get pushback, I knew that somebody was going to come at me about this, but I don't care, okay? Because talent is talent. And these gentlemen, they are still selling out arenas. Okay, they did I think it was a 5-night stint at O3 Arena in England and sold it out. They were on the Masked Singer and made it to like the semifinals. And so, I mean, these guys, they are legit. And so the question is why is it so accepted to make fun of them? Why is it so unacceptable to be a fan? Why am I getting pushback? Because I'm saying that they're evidently, I mean, they're as good as any band out there. I mean, they're putting out stuff right now that's better than what U2's been putting out in the last few years. Oh my God, I mean, but I mean, if you want to say that it's just because they're a brother band, Taylor actually, he was part of kind of a super band for a little while. I can't remember the name of it. I have to look it up, but he's so good that this group of highly touted musicians wanted him to be the lead singer, and so I mean that's so. I thought they died in a celebrity death match. Remember that? Yeah, I remember that. That's part of the backlash. Yeah, they got killed in a celebrity death match. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I saw an interview where they were talking about that. They were wondering why suddenly they're being hated on, and everybody's like, "Oh, you guys are so yesterday," and everything like that. They got murdered in a celebrity death match. The claymation thing. And it's just like this only started when the mainstream couldn't use them as a cash cow anymore. It's only started when the mainstream couldn't use them anymore and wasn't getting a cut. That's when it all started. And so it's like the mainstream apparatus that we're starting to see the shape of it, to where like Sony Music has like controlling interest in papers and television, like news outlets and things like that. And so what happens is if Sony Music can't sign somebody, Prince went through this. Prince was trying to get out of his contract. And that's when he changed his name to the Symbol and started putting out weird music. Started wearing assless chaps everywhere and wore a veil over his face. That was him trying to get out of the music contract. And so he did his best to act as crazy as he possibly could, and to put out wacky music and start doing weird stuff, and until they let him out of his contract. But he went through that, and he got smeared and he got buried. Even when he got out of that contract, suddenly, his music wasn't anywhere. And it's like, what happened to Prince? Did he retire? Did he? No. He just left the mainstream and started doing his own thing independently. And suddenly, nobody was talking to him anymore. But then he made his way back, and he did the greatest halftime show in Super Bowl history. If you haven't seen it, it started raining, and they told him, it's like, we're not sure you should go out there because it's raining. And he's like, I got one request. Can you make it rain harder? And then he goes out there with high heels on and two dancers, but also in high heels, and went out there and killed it. Purple rain with purple lights, and the rain's coming down, and he killed it. And it's amazing, that much talent. But he had to get out of his contract. Mainstream tried to destroy him. And after Hanson got it, went independent, it's not their music dropped off. Penny and Me Tonight was better than anything else on the radio, and yet it didn't get pushed. And yet, here they are. They're talented. They're good looking. They're upright citizens. They never got in trouble, never got in drug addict. Never became drug addicts. They never hit the rehabs. They're happily married. All of them have kids of their own. When they go everywhere, it's a family affair. Their parents still, support their work and their stuff. I think their parents are both still alive. But here they are. They're well-mannered. They're polite. They don't trash motel rooms. They're well-adjusted, and they're talented as hell, and make awesome music. I mean, some of the best pop music, rock with a rock edge to it that I've ever heard. And yet, they're selling out arenas right now. They're probably somewhere tonight selling out an arena. And yet, we hear more about Taylor Swift, who it's been proven is auto-tuned. Everything she does is auto-tuned. Everything she does live is auto-tuned. Watch Phil Wings of Pegasus. He did a review of her concerts, and he discovered that she auto-tunes everything. And Beyonce, my God, they just gave Beyonce a country Emmy. Or CMT, I think, might have given her a country. Somebody awarded her a country for her country album. Beyonce got an award for a country album. The lady's got more Emmys or more Grammys than anybody, including the Beatles, including all the big, including Aretha Franklin, including all the greats. Why? Because every time she puts out an album, they throw Grammys at her. They just throw Grammys at her. And she's not that good. Whitney Houston on a bad day kicks her ass. And yet she's accepted into the arena, and she gets pushed. Why? Because she's a cash cow. And what did she do for Kamala Harris last year? Oh, she did like a show in Houston for Kamala Harris. And then all she did was go up there and talk about killing your baby for about 15 minutes, and then turned it over to Kamala. Didn't even do a concert, and got paid like $2 million just to show up. That's who they're pushing. These guys don't get a peep. These guys don't get pushed. These guys don't even get acknowledged. And yet, she's got like 38 Emmys or Grammys or something like that. Grammys, who cares? But I'm just saying, is that how much of your hatred or your disdain for groups, certain groups over others, how much of that is manufactured? How much of that is propaganda? How much of that has been shoved in your brain by music outlets, production ends or production arms that are mad because somebody walked off? How much of it? We don't know how deeply we've been screwed with. We don't. There is no reason why these guys shouldn't still be massive. They're still amazingly talented. They're still putting out good music, and they're still selling out arenas. So why am I hearing on the radio, Taylor Swift's latest, I'm mad at my boyfriend opus or whatever, which it's not even written by her, probably. I mean, what is, it's like because they're independent, it's all girly music. Well, that's fine. That's fine. But it's like real talent is not being pushed anymore by the mainstream. It doesn't even enter into the equation how good you are, how well you do with your fans, how much merch you sell, how if you can sell out an arena. Doesn't matter. All that matters is, do they control this artist or don't they? Rick Beato talked about this. Rick Beato, he'll go through Spotify's top 10 list every once in a while, and he'll play it and listen to it. And most of the time, it's manufactured. It's processed to within an inch of its life, and you can tell that a bunch of Nashville songwriters in a room somewhere wrote it, and it doesn't have any authenticity left in it. You see somebody like Oliver Anthony, Oliver Anthony music, Chris Lunsford. He kind of went defunct for a little while because his marriage kind of fell apart, and they tried to get him. They tried to sign him to a production deal. Somebody tried to sign him to represent him, and he chose not to because of Joe Rogan told him, "You're doing this on your own. Why do you need that stuff? You're doing this on your own, right?" And so, his ex-wife tried to take 60% of everything he earned, plus everything he earns in the future. And the judge says, no, But what did he do? He went to a farmhouse in West Virginia with some iPhones. The power went out, so he went and bought a generator from Lowe's Hardware, one that would, keep the power at a certain level. He hooked up a bunch of laptops to it, hooked up a bunch of mics, and he and his some buddies of his that he's collected went and did a song called "Scornful Woman," and made a whole album. But the "Scornful Woman" it was like the big basically about his ex-wife. And that song is a scorcher. It's a scorcher. It's like a rich band north of Richmond, but has music with it, besides him. And he could do that all day long. And you know what? All the money he makes from that goes to him. That one, as a matter of fact, it's funny because she drops him as soon as he got some kind of value, and then she took half of his money, and so now he does "Scornful Woman," and he probably made more off of "Scornful Woman" than she'll ever see of his money. And the song's about her. It's hilarious, okay? But I'm just saying that these three gentlemen, they're still good, still amazing, still putting out great music. And yet, all I've gotten since every time I talk to somebody and say, they're one of my favorite groups, and immediately I get Hanson, and that's why I put in my title was like Hanson. Yes, that Hanson, right? And the reason why I have to do that is because people are like, what? It's like you got to turn in your metal card. You don't have any metal bona fides anymore because you like Hanson. Funny thing about it is, there's metal people that love Hanson. They've got friends in the metal arena that love them, love their music, because everybody can appreciate good music, and they put out good music. And why are we making these value judgments anyway? Who told us that we had to decide what's cool or not cool? Who told us that we had to decide who gets to be liked or not? Who told us that? Who told us that these guys over here are cool and these guys aren't? I mean, it's like the whole Metallica Megadeth thing. You know, Metallica gets pushed all the time. They're on every show. You know, the San Francisco, you know, boys, and they haven't put out any good music, you know, since before the Black Album, to my opinion, right? But then you got Megadeth. It's like been consistently good, consistently good, consistently good, consistently good. Dystopia from a few years ago, just a banger of an album, better than anything Metallica's put out lately. And yet we're told that Metallica's the bigger one, you know, that they're better in some way, shape, or form. And it's like, no, they're not. But the big machine still controls Metallica, and so they push Metallica. Okay, there are maybe, off the top of my head, there's maybe, I could just name you 6 or 7 bands right off the top of my head that are better than Metallica ever has been. But they're the band du jour that gets pushed. Why? Why? You know, have you ever asked that question? Have you ever asked the question, who told me what's cool? And why are these guys cool and these guys aren't? And why is it acceptable to like these guys and not acceptable to like these guys? It's like the hair metal thing. You know, everybody's like, oh, hey, hair metal, they're a hair metal band. Oh, I can't like that. And yet, when you hear Kickstart My Heart come on, and you're by yourself in the car, you're hitting that accelerator. Guarantee it. You know, but they're not. You're not supposed to like hair metal bands, right? You're not supposed to like those guys, and yet the music holds up. It's aged very well, and yet, but because we're supposed to not like hair metal anymore, we're supposed to like the grunge bands, right? Because grunge are serious. Grunge, you know. That's why Hanson got so big, is because everybody was so sick of grunge, being told that grunge is the way to go. You know, that grunge is the bands that you should be paying attention to, because they're all serious and they're all in flannel, and you know, they got the hair, you know, and you know, they're all serious about everything. You know, you got Eddie Vedder writing, you know, misogyny on his arm while they're doing the frickin' Unplugged. It's oh, look how serious he is. Oh my gosh, look how serious he is. You know, then you got Lane Staley sitting there on their Unplugged, and I love Lane. I loved Lane, but the guy was dope sick on their Unplugged. He's sitting there in a chair and contemplating his own existence. And but we're supposed to, you know, they were the cool band at the time, right? I'm like, that guy's dying in front of me, and I'm supposed to think they're cool. And these guys over here, these little moppets over here that were having fun and loving life, they're not cool. You know, it's like, who told you what's cool and what's not cool? Who told you that you can't like Hanson? Who told you that you can't enjoy their music? Who told you that they're not cool, or that they're not hip, or that they're like some kind of bubblegum? Have you read the lyrics to MMMBop? Song about mortality. The song's about freaking mortality, about MMMBop, and it's gone. You know, the older you get, the more you listen to that song, and you're like, dang, I get it. And they wrote that when they was 12. You know, Taylor wrote that when he was 12 years old. And it's like, talent, man. They're so damn talented. I mean, so who told us we can't like them? Who told us we can't enjoy them, their music? Who told us that these guys are cool and these aren't cool? That we should be buying tickets to this person over here? Who told us that Beyonce deserves a Emmy for, or CMT award for country music, or Emmy award for, or Grammy award for country music? Who told us that? Because all of us know she ain't country. So why isn't Chris Stapleton winning that award? Everybody knows that guy's country. That guy's as country as it gets. And it's like the freaking mainstream tastemakers who are telling us what's cool or not. And they don't control these guys. These guys make their own money off those albums. They make their own money off those merch. They don't have a middleman. That's why they've been able to survive outside of the mainstream. And I'm just saying, the mainstream ain't liking that. And that's why they're telling you these guys aren't cool. Anyway. Yeah, here we go. Bro, grow some hair on your chest. Check out Power Wolf. They're selling out all over. All right. I'll do that. I'll do that. I haven't heard of them, but I'm sure they're good. I'll take your suggestion, because I'm sure, man, there are groups out there right now that the mainstream has like buried or refused to push or refused to support in any way, shape, or form that are far better than what we're seeing right now. I mean, far better. That Rich Man North of Richmond probably impacted more people than any of the songs on Beyonce's album, and yet she's the one they're throwing awards at. And who even knows what the Oscar-winning movie is? Who even knows? Who even cares? I mean, does anybody watch the Oscars anymore? But they tell you, oh, these people are the ones that we should be supporting. These are the people you should be going to see that movie. Why? Because we said so. Did it make good in the box office? No. But we told you that it's important. We told you that, this is the one we awarded. And so you have to decide it's cool. No, I do not. I don't. I choose not to. And so I'm saying to you, you need to ask yourself, who told me to hate Hanson? Who told me that they weren't cool? Who told me that their music wasn't good? That there's some boy band that don't deserve a listen from me? Who told you that? Because the proof's in the pudding. Go down that rabbit hole. Listen to the music they're making right now. And I guarantee you it's better than anything you hear on the radio. Or whatever you're streaming, Spotify, Top 10, or whatever. Because the algorithms are pushing this shit based off of what they're told to push. So be your own algorithm. And you can do worse than listen to the three boys from Oklahoma. Anyway, that's my rant. Here we go. Tom McDonald may be the biggest indie charting artist of all music. 0 awards. Tom McDonald, yes. My friend found Tom McDonald the other day, and he said to me, he's like, why haven't I heard about this guy? I'm like, exactly. Exactly. Okay? Now, I don't agree with everything. I don't enjoy everything. But he's making way better music than most of the people we're hearing. Most of the people being pushed right now. And let's get Nickelback and Hanson tour, the Guilty Pleasures tour. Yeah. Now, Nickelback may have earned some of their hate. Okay, I'll say that. But you know what? Maybe I should go back and listen to some Nickelback, because I was told to hate them too. So maybe I should go and listen to some more Nickelback. Who knows? Who knows what we've been told to hate? Who knows? And it's like I'm in the indie comic scene right now, and if you go by what's being pushed, it's like back Ethan Van Sciver's latest, the whatever the Heather Swain Cyber Frog prequel or whatever. And it's like gone over 100K. Okay, now that means it's good, right? That means that it's the best comic out there, right? No. Perfect 10 from Genuine Comics, who barely cracks 10K, on every campaign is far better than anything I've ever gotten from Ethan Van Sciver. Far better. But they're telling us, well, he went over 100K and he's got more fans, more rabid fans, so like carrot is water. So, i.e., he must be better. I know for a fact he's not. So maybe we should start making our own determinations about what is cool, about what is quality, what is meritocracy. You know, maybe we should go with pure meritocracy. I don't care what you told me. I don't care what the brand is. I don't care who's pushing it. I don't care what I've been told is cool or not cool by the extreme coast who wouldn't know a flyover state citizen if it walked up and kicked their ass. Maybe we should go to pure meritocracy and let the best band, best man, best woman, best product win. We need to get back to that. Because culture is falling off a cliff because we're pushing, we're paying attention to who they're telling us to pay attention to and not who's good. So get your head out of your butt. And it takes more effort to look for the diamonds in the rough for the people like Hanson than it takes to be told, oh, you need to watch or you need to buy the newest Beyonce or Taylor Swift or whatever, whoever's the flavor of the month that they're pushing. You know, I think we need to get back to just deciding that for ourselves because they're lying to us. We know they're lying to us because if they had their way, Kamala would be president right now. Oh my God. It means brand recognition. That's it. Yep. Cyber Frog's brand had a lot of work done by Harrison in the 90s to lift up the comic circle. Yep. And the fact he worked at DC and Marvel, you know, the guys that work at Marvel and DC is like, oh, well, you know, I need to support them. Maybe the guy that never has touched the door of Burbank and Marvel or DC could be way, 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 way better. Shadowpunk is the best comic I've ever gotten, period. Guy has never touched, never seen the inside of DC or Marvel, and did a 9-minute 3D animated film to go along with that stupid comic that made the comic even better. Dude spent 3 years compiling his own 3D animated art. 3 years to push his book. And it is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's dystopia. It's great characters. It's a gut punch. The ending's a gut punch like I've never had it from a comic book. And yet, if I go with what I'm told is good, then I'll get the next Shane Davis, or get the next Ripa, or get the next EVS before I'll get the next Shadowpunk. I'm just saying, maybe don't pay attention to who you're told to pay attention to. Maybe don't think something's cool because you're told it's cool. Check it out for yourself. Meritocracy matters. Anyway, so go out there, go down that rabbit hole. Find out what Hanson's doing right now. You thank me later. There'll be some songs stuck in your head. Trust me. They got some earworms, man. And they're good. They're really, really good. Anyway, especially check out that Too Much Heaven. I cut it off early because I don't want a copyright strike. I doubt they'll get a copyright strike because, you know, they're independent. But I'm afraid that the Bee Gees production company might have copyright struck me. So that's why I didn't play all of it. Go back and listen to it, though. It's jaw-dropping. It's amazing. Anyway, so that's been cool for Telepathic Bunny Comics. I got to get to the hospital, so I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Not because of me, because my friend. If you've been on channel, you know my friend Craig is in the hospital right now. Say a prayer for him. He needs it. And I'll talk to y'all later. Follow the White Rabbit. Bye, everybody.